Hold aim. Now I'm stuck with this pain. That's something that I can't let you go with. A broken heart is something I can't cope with. Sick feeling in my heart, and then the sun goes down and it's getting darker. That's when I start to realize you're a fire starter. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. See how I leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things.
Back to B&B's Football Happy Hour. I'm Bobby, always. I'm my man, Brian.
What's going on? Glad to be back for the 9th show.
Oh, yeah. Back, bearded, and beautiful as always. We got a lot of exciting stuff going on. One of them you might be able to hear. We're going to do the show from local Oak Brewery this week. It is hopping here today on a Tuesday evening. Great spot again. Obviously, they do adult beverages, but they also have lots of soda, water for the kids. And I love bringing my little man to local Oak, especially on a nice day. They have a huge outdoor area for all the kids to run around, play. They have Frisbee golf back there, tons of space. Bring a cooler, bring some snacks, bring a lunch, have a picnic, blankets on the ground, bring your foldy chairs, whatever you got. It's a wonderful spot. I love hitting it on a nice day. And I know our kids have run around here as well, haven't they, Brian?
Yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah, great outdoor spot. Newer brewery, but yeah, it's good for our town. And yeah, glad it's back open.
Yep, another exciting deal. We got the shirts in, B&B's Football Happy Hour T-shirts.
There you go, some new threads.
Yep, absolutely. Big shout out to Maverick Made. They're the folks that made the shirts for us, and I had some pretty high expectations for them, and they not only were those expectations met, but they were exceeded. The owner, Billy Riddle of Maverick Made, wanted me to throw this out there. They offer screen printing, direct embroidery, logo design. You can email them at b.riddle@maverickmadenc.com. They have Facebook and Instagram at maverickmadenc, and their website, maverickmadenc.com. Monday, June 15th, they're shutting up stuff for a little while. They're building a brand new shop to get everything done much quicker, much faster. And so he's thankful for everyone's business, and they're going to get rolling as quickly as they can. They will take inquiries on future orders. But so definitely this guy knows what he's doing. Like I said, our shirts came out fantastic. I'll definitely be going back to him for sure. And I know, like anything we need, he's our guy.
Yeah, good fit, good shirt. I guess we posted a picture of it on our page. If anybody's interested, just message me or Bobby. We'll get them out to you as soon as we can.
And something else we can't forget is our man Dunson with the music, the intro there. I'm sure you recognize one of the voices there, John Legend. He's done a couple duets with him. And I found out, I should have known this already, but I found out just a little bit ago that Dunson was Grammy nominated for his lyrical work. So pretty impressive stuff we got going on here with our friends of the show.
Yeah, that's big time. So glad he lets us use our music and is a member of our page. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
so our topic. Go ahead.
I was going to say we're just up to we got 461 members this week. I guess we're up about 15 people from last week, so got to hit it hard this week. Maybe next week we'll get it up towards 500, and then we'll go from there.
Especially we got Grammy-nominated musicians playing on our thing. We got some
shirts made.
Some pretty exciting. We got shirts. We got some pretty exciting guests in the works. Maybe we'll hints. Maybe we'll just throw some hints out there.
All right.
Let everyone sit on the edge of their seat for a little bit.
Yeah.
So our topic today, Brian and I decided to split it up. He took the AFC, I took the NFC, and we picked the best 3 teams in those conferences that we thought, and then one surprise team as well. So I tell you what, Brian, you want to go ahead and do your first? Maybe you do your number 1. I'll do my number 1. Your 2, my 2. We'll work down that way. So
yeah, sounds good.
Who do you think is the number 1 team in the AFC?
So I guess the first two are pretty probably easy to figure out. But my number one seed, it's Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocker, right? Super Bowl champion Chiefs. My next team is a close second, but I don't think you can dethrone the champs yet. They didn't really lose a whole lot this year, like we've talked about with our member Steve a couple weeks ago. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I know that you love.
Oh yeah.
They still have Andy Reid. He's a great coach. Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
That's all you need right there.
the list goes on. Yeah, I mean Lamar Jackson. He was the MVP last year, but Patrick Mahomes is an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, all within his first 3 seasons. So
I didn't even hear you say Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce either.
yeah, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. I mean, the list goes on.
Yep.
Hard to put them at 2. So they're my number one seed going into the year, but we'll see what happens.
And believe it or not, Brian, my number one seed for the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, they played in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah.
And they were a top 5 offense in most of the categories. And we discussed this earlier previously with Albert Leach, big Niners fan. They had the highest net yards per pass attempt of anyone, which I think is a surprising stat given Jimmy Garoppolo and all that stuff. Obviously, their running game's a huge strength. Defensively, they were stout. They tied for the league. And they only gave up 4.7 yards a play. Obviously, that's going to help you win some games. And they only gave up 2,700 passing yards the whole season. Now, they lost 3 key pieces. DeForest Buckner, D lineman, who they traded to the Colts for a first-round pick. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, receiver, and Hall of Fame offensive tackle Joe Staley. So what'd they do? They signed future probably Hall of Fame tackle Trent Williams to fill Joe Staley's spot. They used the first-round pick that they gave up for DeForest Buckner, used it for Javon Kinlaw, defensive lineman, to step right in. And then they used their second first-round pick on Brandon Ayuk, a very talented wide receiver. So, I mean, they basically are just picking up right where they left off with just a couple of newer and younger pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 49ers are a tough team. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but, they still have Garoppolo and all those guys. I mean, I think their defense pretty much.
George Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Shanahan. I like Shanahan. He's a good young coach.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, maybe losing the Super Bowl, maybe a little more motivation going into this year, possibly. We'll see. But
we'll see.
I mean, they're still a top team.
As long as they don't turn out like their fellow NFC West folks, the Rams.
Yeah.
Man, they lost the Super Bowl. Where'd they go?
Super Bowl hangover, yeah. Yeah, I expect the 49ers to be right in the thick of it this year again. Good team. Scary team.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. Who's your number 2?
So my number 2, this will make our member old Kevin Reynolds pretty happy here. I got the Ravens, number 2. I don't know. He might not be happy, though. He probably thinks they're number 1.
I'm sure.
I mean, they won 14 games last year, but they kind of choked in the playoffs. That happens. They had a great regular season. I mean, Lamar Jackson MVP. They signed Derek Wolfe, Calais Campbell. They draft Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison from Ohio State. So, I mean, that defense is going to be loaded. Offense is already stacked. They got Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Hollywood Brown. I mean,
they had so many exciting pieces, it puts me to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. They're going to be tough, but I mean, this is sort of 1A, 1B for me. I mean, just because Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they're 1. I mean, Ravens could very well be another 14-win team this year, or I don't know, 13, 14 wins.
Yeah.
Barring any major injuries. So yeah, I mean, another scary team. But I mean, like we talked about with Kevin, I mean, Lamar Jackson had a hell of a year. To me, it'll be hard to replicate, but I mean,
he's not going to.
As long as he stays healthy. I mean, as long as he does 80 or 90% of what he did last year, I mean, he'll still be tough. But I mean, I don't expect him to be, back-to-back MVP Lamar Jackson, but
he can't rush for 1,200 yards again or whatever.
I mean, he's still a stud, and they got Dobbins this year, so I think he'll, he's obviously going to get some carries and maybe take a little bit off Lamar because you just don't want him running that much. I mean, to be honest, but Just
No,
run when you have to. But I mean, if he were to get like 600 or 700 yards, that'd still be crazy. Just
oh yeah. I
do
mean,
your thing.
he's already arguably the greatest rushing quarterback of all time.
Mhm.
He's only been here 2 seasons doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, I have them as number 2. I'm saying Kevin will probably argue they're number 1, but it's hard to argue Super Bowl champions. So
I tell you, if
they're
your
my two.
number two and my number 2 played each other in a dome, it'd be fireworks, man. It might both score in the 50s. My number 2 is the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, another no-brainer pick. I think they were 13-3 last year. Any team with Drew Brees as quarterback obviously has a chance to be great, especially when he's throwing a ball to guys like Michael Thomas and handing the ball off to Alvin Kamara. You could argue that the Saints have maybe the best 3 skill position players in the NFL. Brees, Kamara, Thomas. That's tough to beat. You had Jared Cook at tight end, who resurrected his career last year, and they finally have a good second receiver to go along with Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. But they've really only had it was Marcus Colston by himself for 10 years, and then they had and Michael Thomas has basically been by himself for a while. Ted Ginn, all he does is run go routes. So Emmanuel Sanders is a much more polished, much more accomplished receiver. So that's definitely going to help him out. And now they could use help defensively stopping the run, but they didn't lose a whole lot. They lost A.J. Klein at linebacker, Eli Apple at corner, Von Bell at safety, and I mentioned Ted Ginn, but that's not a huge loss. Mm-hmm. They did add Malcolm Jenkins, who obviously we love for his time in Philly, and he was with the Saints earlier. Left New Orleans, came to Philly, played great for 6-8 years. Yeah. Now he's back. With the Saints. Huge addition for them. Emmanuel Sanders, we mentioned. And I think a very underrated addition that they have is Ty Montgomery. Now, Ty Montgomery, he's always been a tweener. He's a running back. He's a receiver. He return kicks sometimes. But if he's gonna go anywhere that can emphasize his strengths, it's New Orleans. They're making a quarterback, Taysom Hill. They got him running the ball, catching the ball, throwing the ball, return kicks. If they do it with a quarterback, they can definitely maximize Ty Montgomery's potential. And then they only have 4 draft picks, but 3 of them, they can play early. They got Cesar Ruiz on the O-line, Zach Vaughn at linebacker, and very athletic tight end Adam Troutman. So Saints, they're not going anywhere yet.
No. Yeah, they're another tough team. I mean, they could be – I guess our first 2 picks are pretty chalk. I mean, like you said, my 2 could be one or 2. Yours could be 1A, 1B. I mean, Saints are tough.
I think my 3rd pick might throw some people off.
All right. Well, as long as it's not the Cowboys, we'll see. But we'll let you go over that. So my third team might. We'll see what you think about this. So, I mean, I'm looking at the AFC. In any other year, I mean, this is New England or somebody else or maybe Baltimore, New England. Yeah, it would be New England, right? So, they're out of the picture, I think, this year. I mean, they're not the 3rd best team in the AFC. So I mean, I'm just looking through, man, and I'm just thinking I don't know who's the team. And I mean, I know Jacksonville made it to the AFC Championship last year, or no, it was Tennessee.
2 years ago.
Tennessee. Yeah. But Tennessee made it last year. I think I think that was kind of lucky. I think they are like a Jacksonville from a couple years ago.
Okay. Yep. I can see that.
I didn't want to go with them. So, I mean, by default here, I'm going Buffalo.
Wow.
Buffalo Bills. So,
woo. I like it.
I mean, they were a 10-win team last year, 10-6, right? So, I think they're probably the odds-on favorites to win the AFC East. I mean, I know Miami got a little better.
They should get 2 wins against the Patriots, which they normally never get.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So they were 10-6 last year. So if you throw in an extra win, maybe if you beat New England twice, I mean, you're talking about another 10 or 11 wins possibly. I mean, like we said before, I mean, with the Broncos, I mean, a lot rides on Josh Allen and Drew Lock. You know what I mean? It's all about Josh Allen and how he plays. But
adding Stephon Diggs is a huge help, though. Yep.
So yeah, that's my thing. I mean, I look at that. They trade for Stephon Diggs. in the free agency, they signed Mario Addison on defense. They draft AJ Epinesa from Iowa, a kid that everybody thought could possibly go in the first round. They get him in the second round. So, I mean, they signed Josh Norman. I don't know what he'll do. Probably not a whole lot, but that's kind of a low risk thing. I mean, you never know. If he's on a good team, he might want to play, So I don't know. I just think with the Diggs going to Buffalo, Josh Allen has a number one receiver. Diggs he's pretty legit. So
John Brown's good too.
Yeah,
That's a decent duo.
They're a tough team. Buffalo's a tough place to play, especially when it starts getting colder out.
And they drafted Zach Moss. So obviously they have Devin Singletary, who they took last year, who I think is going to be a pretty good NFL player. And Zach Moss, he's a bigger, more stout running back. He's going to be able to take those short line, short yardage, goal line opportunities, and he should do well with that.
Yeah, I mean
Zach Moss was a monster. He was in Utah in college.
Yeah, he was a beast. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's just a lot rides on Josh Allen. I mean, he had a good year last year. If he can replicate that or do even better, I mean, I think they're a 10 or 11 win team. I don't know. Looking at the roster, I just don't see any. They don't have any really major holes. I mean, their defense was pretty solid last year, and I think the offense got a little better. So
I thought you might go Pittsburgh there, getting Big Ben back. But we'll talk about them a little later.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, but I don't know. I think they might be an 8 or 9 win team.
So my third team is not the 13-3 Green Bay Packers, who played the NFC Championship last year.
Right.
I just can't do it. We've talked time and time again that they've done nothing this offseason to help Aaron Rodgers, no receivers. So I'm out on them. Instead, I'm going with the 11-5 Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, I like that.
So they were Seattle was they were 11-5, 7-1 on the road last year. They were only 4-4 at home, which is crazy. Especially if it's so tough to play in Seattle. I can easily see them adding at least two wins at home. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're a 13-3 team. They made the playoffs. Yeah, they made the playoffs 8 out of 9 seasons while under Pete Carroll and John Schneider, the GM. They didn't really lose anyone. I mean, they lost George Fant. Does that worry you at all?
No.
I mean, not me. You probably don't even know who he is. They added Greg Olson, Bruce Irvin, Carlos Hyde, a couple offensive linemen, Cedric Ogbuye and Chance Warmack, and Phil Dorsett. I didn't even realize that was like a sneaky signing, I think. I didn't even realize he was out there. Then they re-signed the big D lineman, Jaron Reed. So that was good for them. They've never had a great offensive line. Seattle, they're always known for not addressing it, and they didn't really address it this year. I mean, they signed some guys. They're going to have more depth than normal, and if just one of those guys steps up and plays well, that'll be all right for them. And the Seahawks were one of 4 teams last year with under 40 sacks. Do you know, Brian, who led the Seahawks in sacks and with how many?
I remember that.
I don't know. Probably not Clowney.
Hey, how about Rasheem Green? He led them with sacks, and he had 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah, so now Bruce Irvin, who they just brought in again, had 8.5 sacks all by himself in Carolina last year. So
they lose Clowney, but, I mean, we're not big on him, so.
Right, and I get Greg Olson, a tight end. He's old, but Seattle's deep at tight end, and so he doesn't have to play every play. I think he can produce as long as he's not on the field constantly.
Yeah.
And if Russell Wilson can make Jacob Hollister and Luke Wilson relevant at the tight end position, surely Greg Olson can do some things. Then they go to the draft, and they draft Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech linebacker, who had 20 tackles for loss last year as a senior, and pass rush specialist Darrell Taylor from Tennessee and Alton Robinson from Syracuse. So they knew they needed help sacking the quarterback. They bring in Bruce Irvin. They draft, a couple guys to help with that. I can double win season for sure for Seattle.
Yeah, they're a tough team. Beat our Eagles twice last year, so both at home too, both in Philly. Regular season and the playoff game after Wentz gets hurt.
Terribly boring games.
Yeah, I think they were the same score, 17-9 both games.
Yep. Win's a win though.
Win's a win. You know, I guess
All right, Brian.
we've posted on our page before about old Russell Wilson. He got all the love against Deshaun Watson. So.
Oh yeah, wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Surprised me, big boy.
Well, I mean, a team that we've talked about, I guess, what is it, last week or 2 weeks? I mean, I think the Colts are my kind of surprise team. I know we went over it with what was that? Our guys, Eli. Yeah, we're pretty high on them. I think with signing Rivers and with some of the other things they did, I think they're at least a 10-win team. So I think they're right there in the thick of it in the AFC. I guess they can.
Running back, I think. It's pretty good.
Yeah, your guy Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's probably not a surprise to you, but I know we're both pretty high on the Colts.
For sure, 100%. I mean, we talked. I mean, 10 wins should be definitely doable.
Yeah, I mean, I could have had them as my third best team, but I think they might be right there at 4, especially with getting Rivers and Jonathan Taylor and some of those guys. I mean, still have T.Y. Hilton, and you know, I like that coaching staff, and I think they're a 10, possibly 11-win team next year.
No argument for me. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. Colts all the way. Mm-hmm. I think they could take that division.
Yeah.
So definitely in for that. So my surprise team, we're digging a little deeper here. They were 5-10-1 last year. They've only had 5 playoff victories. I'm sorry, 5 playoff appearances since 1982. I wasn't even around in 1982. No. And that's the Arizona Cardinals.
All right.
Yeah. So, gosh, we can't stop talking about the DeAndre Hopkins trade that the Cardinals killed the Texans in. They also signed defensive tackle Jordan Phillips from Buffalo, help the big boys down front on the defense, and they drafted our favorite Isaiah Simmons along with Josh Jones. I mean, Josh Jones, offensive lineman, he was going in the first round in some of the mocks, and they got him, I think, in the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe there's a reason he dropped, but hey, he's a starting caliber player ready to go right now. Yeah. Much like the Seahawks, they didn't lose anyone. They still have Chandler Jones wreaking havoc in the backfield. They got Patrick Peterson locking up number 1 receivers. He started off the year real slow last year, but I think he was suspended or something the first couple games. But by the end of the season, he was playing much more like himself. And Jordan Hicks, they have a linebacker who obviously we love, much like Malcolm Jenkins from Philly. Yeah. He had 150 tackles last year. Yeah, 150. He was 3rd most tackles in the NFL, quarterback in the defense. I mean, they're going to be very, very much improved. Yeah. This will also be the 2nd year in Cliff Kingsbury's system. So a lot of times that first year is a little shaky. That 2nd year is when you see a lot of time the offenses take the jumps. Kyler Murray was the offensive rookie of the year last year. He's obviously come on, get back and know the offense better. Kenyon Drake they'll have for the full season. They won't just acquire him midway through. And Kenyon Drake, for some reason, nobody would ever give him the ball, but every time he gets it, he produces. So they're going to have, obviously, a great passing game. They're going to have a running game. And I get it. They're in a tough division. I mean, I just talked about 3 of my 4 teams I talked about are all from the NFC West. But there's an extra playoff spot. And having 3 teams make the playoffs in the same division isn't that rare. It's happened, I think, 7 times from 2002, 2003. I mean, that's really not rare at all for 3 teams from the same division make the playoffs. So I can absolutely see them going from 5. I mean, they go from 5-10-1 to 10-6. I could see a 5-game jump there if things click and they win some of those games. They lost in the past, but they got more talent. Again, another year in the same system. I'm ready to go with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll definitely be better next year. Like you said, it all depends on Kyler Murray. I mean, if he can do what he did last year or just, improve a little bit, they're definitely a 9 or 10 win team easily.
Yep.
I think Isaiah Simmons, that kid is going to be a stud. So,
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Him and Jordan Hicks out there just wreaking havoc.
Man,
they'll be a tough team.
Yeah,
they'll be a tough team to beat, especially with Hopkins and Fitz. I mean, that'll be good. It's good to see.
Christian Kirk's explosive.
Yeah, they're a good team. I hate to see them on our schedule this year. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that game. Good stuff.
See,
Yeah.
I'm excited though. All right.
All right.
So good job. Good job out of you, Brian.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. Good
All right, let's
stuff.
bring our first guest, Michael Pekin. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so we'll get him on here and get chatting with him.
All right.
Michael.
Let's see. There he is.
There he is.
Hey, fellas.
How you doing?
Hey, man. Whew. I tell you what, man, this the quarantine hairdo and beard.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think.
Dude, the quarantine's got you. Whew, that hair and that beard, man, you were growing.
I was gonna say I don't think we've ever met, but that looks like a quarantine cut and beard right there. It's good stuff.
Do you need me to send you some clippers or something?
Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We got you.
You good? I think we have Michael's having some technical difficulty. Well, we got you paused. All right, Michael, you got your stuff worked out there. You got your sound working, all that good stuff.
There he is.
What'd you say, Bobby?
I said you got your sound working. You good to go now?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, man. All right, so tell us who you are, where you're at, and why you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Well, Michael Pecan, I'm Greenville, North Carolina, transplant from Detroit, Michigan. Grew up kind of a Lions fan, but they sucked most of my life, so I had to find another team. I mean, that's kind of how I got into fantasy football too, because Lions football was over by 1:15, so you needed another reason to watch football. So, but when I was younger, a little before cable, we were able to pick up Ohio stations and a lot of Steeler games around that time. So, grew up Steelers Lions fan, and I've always stayed with it. And they just had so many great teams and so much talent over the years. It's just always been pretty exciting to watch. Great defenses, but also great offense. I think that's kind of underrated with the Steelers because everybody kind of thinks of them as a blue-collar defense, pound the ball, but they sure like to sling it around in that. So I appreciate you guys having me on and having a little reprieve to talk about sports. It's been so long.
All right, man. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to a question I have for you. I don't want to waste any time and look back through a bunch of years, mostly because I knew I didn't have to. But from 2016 to 2018, the Steelers had between 4,200 and 5,000 passing yards every year. Last year, without Big Ben, they were under 3,000 yards, and they also only passed for 18 touchdowns. Last year was also the first time in recent memory that the defense gave up more passing yards and passing touchdowns than the offense accumulated. I haven't seen that happen with the Steelers in a long time. Now, it goes without saying that Big Ben is coming back. It's huge for you guys. But there are teams, the Patriots a few years ago when Matt Castle stepped in for Tom Brady, the Eagles in 2018 with Nick Foles, even Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints last year, where the backups come in and the teams don't miss a beat. So go into a little detail about why you think there's such a huge difference when Big Ben is on the field and when he's not, and why the Steelers completely fall off the map without their bearded leader.
Well, I think one of the keys there is the backup quarterbacks that you mentioned are pretty talented. And Teddy Bridgewater, he'd be a pretty exciting player to watch this year and keep an eye on. You know, Foles produced. Also, the system that some of these quarterbacks get plugged into helped tremendously. So the talent really wasn't there in the backup. Also, like, who wasn't hurt with the Steelers last year? I mean, every single person just seemed to have some problem. And if they were playing, they were playing hurt. And I know a lot of players do that as well. But, you know, Deontay Johnson played with that hernia since week 2. It just – there were so many things that went wrong with the team last year. So, while, yes, you're going to see an improvement with Big Ben, or the team would have done better if he was there, I still think he would have struggled a bunch. And the defense struggled because, you know, they didn't get any rest. The offense wasn't producing, and they're just, you know, getting more out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think all around it was just a tough year. I mean, it was just a uncharacteristic year, I think, for the Steelers. Big Ben getting hurt. I guess Bobby touched on a little bit of the passing game, and as I was looking at things, things didn't get much better running the ball. You guys had the fourth fewest yards in the league, third fewest rushing touchdowns. You have James Conner, who I still think is a pretty legit starting running back. He had a tough year. He played hurt. I know he was out, I think 6 games, but in the 10 games he played, he only had 460 yards. It's just not enough. You drafted Benny Snell, I think, what was that, last year from Kentucky. He had 400 yards. So just not a lot of production from the running back. So, I mean, going into the draft, I thought you guys were a prime team to maybe take a running back in the first or second round. Were you kind of surprised they didn't go running back early? I mean, I know you guys took a running back in the 4th round, but I mean, where do you see the running game going this year? And were you surprised that they kind of waited so long to take a running back?
Well, yeah, Art Rooney was hopeful that they would take in a running back, but the running game is going to improve this year. Big Ben, the addition of him is going to open it up for everybody. But also, yes, they didn't go with a running back, but they went with another talented wide receiver in Chase Claypool. Mm-hmm. And along with him, Juju, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, who even though that hernia still led the team in receptions. Something that kind of goes unnoticed sometimes in football is like offensive line or defensive line and blocking and all that, because it's not always as sexy. Same thing goes with your wide receivers and their blocking ability. All 3 of those wide receivers and the addition of Chase Claypool, they all are known for being really good blockers. So the added health, Ben being back, opening it up, added weapons, and Ebron added to it too. So just by default, former Lion, stunk.
There you go.
Of course, go somewhere else and shine. So hopefully he'll come full circle and he'll play well for the Steelers, even though he stunk for the Lions. But in Big Ben likes to use tight ends. He spreads the ball around well. Exactly. So just they're going to be such a surprising team. I mean, it'd be hard pressed not to have Big Ben be comeback player of the year. Just in fantasy football stats, he was a third-rated fantasy passer 2 years ago. So, and he's just got more talent since then. So it should be. The hard thing is with the running game, it's going to be, can Connor stay healthy? Like you said, he missed a few games last year. I think he missed a total of 9 in the last 2 years. So can he stay healthy? They're also going to lessen his workload. So you're going to get to see some of the other players get some experience. And who knows, one of those might shine and overtake Connor, or Connor gets hurt. So it'll be hard really to trust one of them, but they at least have depth at all their skilled positions on offense other than quarterback.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I thought Chase Claypool was a great draft pick. He's such a big, physical, and athletic receiver. If he can put it together, he can block those NFL DBs. I mean, I agree 100%. Like, he can be on the field early and often. And Brian, with the Ebron deal.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian picked Ebron to be a surprise producer this year. And then a couple shows later, he trades Vance McDonald. So just so Ebron can shine. So Brian is riding the Ebron train full speed ahead.
I mean, he's not going to have 1,000 yards, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he catches 6 or 7 touchdowns this year. I mean, Big Ben loves a tight end, like you said. I mean, I could just picture him throwing it to Heath Miller like every other play, back in the day.
And back then they had Le'Veon Bell, who targeted a lot more than probably Connor or any of those other stable running backs will be. So he should get a couple extra red zone looks.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I guess with the quarterback play last year, I mean, I know they struggled in the red zone. So, I mean, my pick is based off of him just producing in the red zone, basically. I mean, he's not going to put up a ton of yards. He doesn't really like to block, but, inside the 20-yard line, I know he'll catch his few touchdowns for them for sure.
All right. So, Michael, I feel like Mean Joe Green and Jack Lambert stepped on the field a million years ago, And the Steelers' defense has been good ever since. I don't know why, no matter what, they always seem to make it work. I thought for sure, 2014, I think it was, when Dick LeBeau resigned, I'm like, all right, this is it. The defense is going to fall off, and they didn't really miss a beat that much. Last year, they were top 5 defense in total yards per play. They were first in the NFL in turnovers, passing yards given up, rushing touchdowns, rush yards per attempt, which I think is a very underrated stat. If you're, shutting the team's running game down, that really helps you out. So tell us, what's the secret sauce, man? How are the Steelers year after year one of the better defenses in the league, no matter what?
I think there's kind of a historical answer to it and a short-term, more relevant one. The short-term, more relevant one is how many former first-round picks do they have on that defense, whether it was somebody they drafted like T.J. Watt or Dupree or somebody they got from another team in Hayden or Fitzpatrick. So all that round one talent, other than maybe Edwards, has super exceeded expectations. So I think that's the short answer of why they've been able to go from 2014 or so. Also, Cameron Hayward, add that guy to the list. So in that regards, they have first-round talent that's paying off, whether they drafted them or traded for them. But historically, I mean, you can almost answer it with another question. Why do so many organizations just continue to stink and they can't seem to do anything? I think part of it is culture and coaching consistency. The Steelers have that culture that's continued throughout the years, that when a player joins that team, they feed off of that energy, and that culture matches the community in Pittsburgh, going to that blue-collar community and feel that passion. They value the defense, and so players that's probably why a lot of these former first-round players want to go to Pittsburgh, because they want to be a part of the culture where you see all the other teams that don't do well, they continue to struggle, they don't have culture. So I think that's the long historical answer for that question, why they continue to succeed, but also they got the talent too.
All right.
That's good stuff. So you kind of touched on one of the guys I want to talk to you about now, Bud Dupree. So just a quick fact, like Bobby said last week. So I actually had the Steelers. We did like a little fantasy draft trades that we would like to see, and I actually had Pittsburgh trading Bud Dupree to the Texans for J.J. Watt. That was kind of like a little thing I'd like to see. J.J. Watt just looks like he'd be good on the Steelers. Plus, his 2 brothers play there now, so it'd be cool to have all 3 of them in Pittsburgh. But Bud Dupree, like you said, he had 11.5 sacks last year, 4 forced fumbles. I think him and Minkah Fitzpatrick were the 2 best players you guys had on defense there. But he's on the franchise tag, so you just don't ever know with that. I mean, I think he's going to want to come out and produce, obviously, to get that big deal maybe next year. So are you looking at Bud Dupree to kind of put up the same kind of stats as he did last year? And are you worried about maybe losing him? I know you guys have to sign T.J. Watt in a year or 2 coming up, so it's going to be tough to pay both of those guys, $15 or so million bucks. Is Dupree somebody you're looking at as one of the top guys this year on defense?
I think that's the key right there, the financial aspect of it. A lot of times when we're looking at football and stuff, we're looking at how they play and perform and all that, but a lot of the times it comes down to contracts. And this is arguably one of the first times you never heard anybody complain about getting the franchise tag. It actually seems like a good fit for him because he's the second highest player on the team behind Ben.
Yeah.
But then he's only had one really great year. So, he's kind of progressed, but not as fast as they hoped until last year. But that's only 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, if having the tag and he has another good year, which it should line up to because there's so much talent around him, they can't really focus on just him. So he should have a great opportunity to succeed, and then he can get that big contract. And if he has that kind of year, it'll be hard for the Steelers to sign both him and T.J. Watt, which I believe they got to do within the next 18 months. Mm-hmm. So chances of him going are probably pretty high if he has a great year. If he has a mediocre year, then it works out that they probably get him at a discount.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Would you would he be a guy you might think about trading, or you wouldn't be up for that?
Yeah,
Get something for him.
Depends on what
Get
you
something
get,
for
right?
him.
Yeah.
yeah. I think it probably comes down to injuries and depth. If they need something, like say on the offensive line or something, that probably one of the only areas they really need any help in. So, but again, I imagine he's going to play really, really well. So it will be kind of tough to trade him if he's going to
Yeah.
be performing at a high level or anywhere near what he did last year.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. So I was going to throw a fun little question at you and ask you why you ditched your Lions and went with another team. But you already answered that when you said that you weren't seeing enough W's watching Detroit. So I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna ask the question, put you on the spot a little bit. So you got two teams, the Lions and the Steelers. You have to pick your all-time trio, offensive trio. So earlier in the show, I had mentioned that the Saints might have one of the best skill positions players in the league with Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara. So you can combine your teams, Steelers, Lions, all time. What quarterback you going with, what running back, and what receiver?
Well, Barry Sanders would have to be on that list for sure. That's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Art Schleister at quarterback? No.
Who?
No, I'm kidding. He's like, who? Then a wide receiver, a little outside the box, John Stallworth. He was my favorite player growing up.
Nice.
Very, very underrated. Small, gets all the attention, but he was stellar.
The correct answer was Calvin Johnson. Brian, you got one more for him?
No, Matt Anderson quit.
Yeah, well, Megatron.
It tells you how good the Lions are. Their players quit. They just
I know.
don't
I
even
know.
want to play.
Good stuff. So I guess my last question for you here. I mean, I watch a lot of NFL, and one of the games I watched last year was that Browns-Steelers game. I mean, it still has to be the craziest thing I've ever seen in a football game. I mean, give me your initial reaction to Myles Garrett just decapitating Mason Rudolph with his helmet.
Yeah, very controversial
Yeah.
scenario and stuff. And goes with the culture of the Steelers, though, the way Tomlin stuck up for Rudolph and that. And it seemed like the team stuck up for him. So that kind of goes back to the first question you guys asked, or second question about why defense is always good. They have where they look out for each other. But, I mean, that was just nuts.
Yeah.
Heck of a player Garrett is. So fortunate for him, he was able to return, but that was crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, it's one of the things. I mean, what did he get suspended for? Like 6 games? I mean, I still think he should be probably suspended for 4 or 5 games this year. I mean, I don't think 6 games was enough, but I mean,
Tells you how competitive that conference is, though, man. Between them, even when Cleveland stinks, they're still dangerous. And Baltimore, Pittsburgh rivalry.
Yeah.
Bengals are better too.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. Thanks a lot for coming on. Go ahead. I know you're doing some stuff around here. Give yourself a shout out. Give your company a shout out. Tell us what's got going on.
I appreciate you guys. Again, thanks for having me on talking football. I love what you guys are doing. Got to get me one of those new shirts.
There you go. We'll get you one.
Yeah. But in terms of what I'm doing around the community and that, I work in real estate, and my wife just got her license as well a few months ago. So we've been building our team, the Pecan Realty team with Keller Williams. So if you have any real estate questions, whether you're looking to buy or sell or not, just even if you got a question about your home's value or what you're thinking about, if you need somebody to help with your roof or whatever, a vendor, that's what we're here for, to help and just build a community around here in Greenville. We love living here and love helping people.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, we'll post that. We'll post that to our page, and if anybody has a question around where I live, I'll point them in your direction.
Yep.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Bobby.
All right, man.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good one, bud.
That picture that pops up compared to what he looked like is like
he looks like it's like that like the professor or whatever, the wizard from
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
He looks like he's on like Underground Boss or something. Like he's about to
Undercover Boss. Yeah,
Undercover Boss
right.
or whatever the hell it is. Like
Keller Williams edition.
Yeah, like he's going out and like catfishing other realtors or something. I don't know. It's pretty good. So, yeah, good stuff. We'll post.
Yeah.
I guess we'll post his page to our page and kind of cross it up, and anybody in our town will put him in his direction.
That works. All right, so we go from one solid team, the Steelers, to another solid team who I'm telling you, man, I really thought about making the Cowboys one of my picks for the top 3 in the conference. I could have, but we're going to talk to Tyler Bilalovic about his Dallas Cowboys coming up here.
Okay, sounds good.
Good. All right, Tyler Bilalovic coming in to talk about your Dallas Cowboys. Tell us where you're at and why you're a Cowboys fan.
Well, like all Cowboys fans, I'm not in Texas, so I'm I'm currently in Virginia, but I do have a Texas driver's license, even though it has a North Carolina address on it. But that's better than most people. But I guess I'm a Cowboys fan because of crooked feet.
Okay.
I don't know if that rings a bell for anybody.
Why don't you explain it for us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You go with that one.
Yeah, Troy Aikman. So Troy Aikman was my favorite player growing up, and he allegedly had crooked feet as a kid. And your boy here has some crooked feet too, so it kind of made sense. And then, at the same time, and the 92, 93 years were pretty good, so I just kind of went with the bandwagon.
There you go.
But I'll be the first one to admit I got on the bandwagon, but I never got off. So I think I can throw out made it through the Quincy Carter years. So.
Good for you. But I've known you for a long time. I had no idea about the crooked feet, man. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wear them well, I guess.
I don't need to hold hands or beat around the bush. So I'm going to dive right in and say that every year, especially last year and this coming season, the Cowboys are great on paper, but they never put it together. Since your last Super Bowl win in 95, 24 years ago, Dallas has been in playoffs 10 times, which on the surface isn't really all that bad. But they've only had 4 playoff wins and haven't competed for the NFC Championship at all. This past season, your defense was ranked 9th to 11th in most categories I looked at, except turnovers. You weren't great at turnovers. So you put together a top 10 defense, basically. Your offense was even better. It was a top 5 a top 5 offense in the league in just about every category, and you were number 1 in most yards gained, which, obviously that's impressive. So, dude, please tell me, how can a team so full of talent with a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense be 8-8? How do they start dominating the NFC again, which they should have been doing for, obviously, years?
Yeah, well, as a Cowboys fan, you get that a lot, and why are we always underachievers? And I think the easy scapegoat is to blame Jerry Jones. How could a franchise not be better off with a purely personnel-focused executive calling the shots, as opposed to the family of Jones? But honestly, I'll throw it right back at you guys. Now, I'll blame you guys in the media who I think the Cowboys are the most scrutinized team in all football. And, as you already said, it's a team that's constantly labeled as having the most talent, having some of the best weapons. Well, just to kind of compare it, why does the United States not decisively win some more despite having some of the best weapons on earth? And, there are other variables outside of weapons that define military power and effectiveness. And the same applies to football. You got your GM, you have your playing scheme. There's a lot of other variables other than just the weapons. But I really hope that the change of scenery and just having a new coach and bringing in someone other than Jason Garrett will drive some blood into the very mediocre organization. I'll say it, but it all starts at the top, and the top is Jerry World. So one day, hopefully, he steps down as GM. But the second best thing we did was we got a new coach. So I think it's a good starting point.
Nice.
Tyler Bilalovic, the military philosopher. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I guess, that takes me into my first question here. like you touched on, I think a lot of that had to do with Jason Garrett. I mean, I don't think he was that great of a coach. You get Mike McCarthy, he's a way better coach. He's won a Super Bowl, had a really good run with the Packers. So my question here is kind of a two-part question. I mean, in the draft, you guys go out and get CeeDee Lamb, who, I mean, is an absolute stud. As an Eagles fan, I know that hurts. I mean, I thought he was going to fall right into our laps. And then I saw Jerry sitting on that couch laughing. And I was talking to my dad, and I said, look, he's going to draft Lamb. And he was like, no, he's not going to. And sure enough, he did. So you add him to Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. And then you got your boy Zeke. He's signed through 2027. He makes $15 million a year. So with McCarthy taking over as coach, his last 3 years in Green Bay, he was almost dead last in the league in rushing attempts. So, I mean, do you see that as an issue, going in, especially with Zeke and having those three receivers? Do you think he's just going to come in and be kind of pass happy, and then, Zeke will be unhappy and, things might crumble from there? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think those last Packers teams were definitely a different team than the current Cowboys team. McCarthy, did not run the ball because of one man, and that man is Aaron Rodgers. There's when you have a player of that caliber, you're always going to put the ball in the hands of your superstar. And there's a reason why everybody in the fantasy football community knows who the Packers' third and fourth wide receiver is.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of look at it as like Barry Sanders. Outside of Herman Moore, can anybody name a Lions receiver in the 90s? I know I can't, but maybe you guys are the experts here. But, I think, this is a different team. And, Zeke will be a larger part, I do believe, and he has to on this team. And I think they will find ways to get him in. But, first thing first, he's got to survive coronavirus.
There you go. Yeah. I was sad to see that.
God might bring back Alfred Morris.
There you go. I'm just afraid.
Well, short answer is, yeah, I think he's going to incorporate Ezekiel, and then, we'll see from there.
Yeah. I just get a little worried with all those shiny wide receiver toys that he has. I mean, he's just going to want to throw that rock all the time, and then old Zeke's going to be.
But it's just going to open up things more for Zeke. And, I'm great. You kind of knew they were going to draft. The Cowboys have always been a team that drafts, best player available as opposed to needs of team. So it's pretty obvious once that he was still around. So I'm very excited. I think we have arguably top three trios, in the league right now. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, man, that was a stab to the heart.
Yeah, that was tough.
All right, Tyler, so there's been a lot of turnover for the Cowboys. And when you have the amount of talent that they do, eventually certain people, they price themselves out of the market and they have to walk in free agency. And that happened with a couple of your players this year, Byron Jones especially, and Robert Quinn. Jones was easily your best DB, shutdown corner. He started 73 games for you guys. Robert Quinn got 11.5 sacks last year, and he followed the money to Chicago. You also lost Malik Collins, who had 55 starts. And I think a very underrated loss for you guys would be Jeff Heath, who played in over 100 games. I think he started 50-some at safety, but he played another 50-some on all the special teams, which is a huge part of football. I think you drafted Heath in 2013, something like that. But offensively, your biggest loss was the retirement of your All-Pro and 5-time Pro Bowler, offensive lineman Travis Frederick. Obviously, you can't really replace that. You lost some pieces on defense, like we said, but you added a bunch in Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, and then you get Alden Smith you signed. Randy Gregory's probably coming back. Clinton Dix you got. And, like I said, you guys weren't very good at forcing turnovers this year, but that's kind of what Clinton Dix does. He gets turnovers. And then you add Trayvon Diggs in the draft, and like we mentioned, CeeDee Lamb, and Alden Smith, Randy Gregory. They have a lot of talent, but they can't really stay out of trouble. However, if they do play all year for you, you losing those 11.5 sacks from Robert Quinn, that doesn't mean anything, because these guys can each get 11.5 sacks easy. So big losses, big gains. How do you feel about all these offseason moves? Do you think it's been a net gain, a net loss? Are you breaking even? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, defense, we're taking a step back. We got really lucky. When we got, Quinn and Collins, we did not, drafted Collins. He was like a 5th or 6th round pick. Quinn, we got for like a 6th round draft pick. We got really lucky, and I hope that we kind of hit the jackpot again, kind of going dumpster diving a discount bin with some of the additions that you already made. But with that one step back on defensively, I do think we took a step forward offensively. And, and to kind of break the tie, you did not mention, I think, one of the most underrated signings of Cowboys this year, and that is my man, Greg "The Leg" Zuerlein. The Cowboys, are notoriously for, playing very close games. Usually they come up on top. Unfortunately, last year was the first time I think they're like 1-6 in one-score games. So we all know that those one-score games, they come down to field goals. And, we were very successful those years with Dan Bailey. And, we didn't have him last year. And maybe that was one of the main reasons why we, lost so many games. So hopefully, Greg "The Leg" and the special teams can kind of be, that tiebreaker. And I think, a very small net positive this year.
Nice. So that kind of takes me, it's a good segue into my next question here. Like you said, they were 1-6 in those close games. They were also 0-8 when they trailed at halftime. That's just tough, when you just can't get it done in the second half. So I took a look at the schedule this year. I don't know if you had a chance to kind of dive into it, but I was looking at the first half of the year is kind of somewhat of a cakewalk. And then you have those last 8 games. I mean, you have the Eagles twice, you have the Steelers and the Niners at home, and then you have the Ravens and the Vikings away. Mixed in there, you do have a bye week in mid-November, and then you do play Washington, and you make a trip to Cincinnati in December. So, I mean, you don't know how Burrow and those guys might be doing at that point in the season. So, I mean, is that something you worry about? I mean, to me, that's a pretty brutal schedule. I mean, those teams right there, I mean, as of last year, that was a 75%, winning percentage with those teams. Is that something you think they can improve on, and are you a little worried about that last half of the year?
Yeah, I think notoriously the Cowboys are a team that always plays to the level of their opponents. So it doesn't matter if they're playing the Jets or the Patriots. They'll find a way to lose to them both by 3 points. But, yeah, the Baltimore, San Francisco, and that last Philly game are going to be huge. Yeah. But, I think they always show up to play no matter who plays. And hopefully, I just hope that, that the first half of the season, we can build some sort of cushion. But, I can almost put money on this, that whoever wins the Cowboys, that second Phillies-Cowboys game, they're probably going to the playoffs, whoever wins that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, gosh, that's brutal. All right, Sal, I got one more for you. So in addition to being a real football fan, you are also a very avid fantasy football player. You've been playing for quite some time and have experienced some success. I feel as though you are very similar to your own Dallas Cowboys in that you're pretty successful many years ago, but you haven't really done much lately. In the League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen, which is the league that means the most to you, besides a title run in 2013, you haven't even finished in the top 3 in the league since 2010. What's up with that?
Has that been fact-checked?
No, you don't have to fact-check. You can if you want to.
Sometimes, you got to let others blossom. You can't just live on top for the rest of your life. I get more enjoyment out of watching others thrive.
That's a lie.
Yeah, it is. I'll be honest. Well, unfortunately, things haven't gone my way the past couple years, but I feel like this year, Cowboys, a lot of teams, like the Cowboys, they'll come out and play a hell of a game one week, and the next one they flop. So I like to think I'm a little better than the Cowboys. I have less flops than the Cowboys.
Fair enough.
Nice. So I guess this is the first time I've met you and we've spoke, but Bobby did tell me you were a wrestling fan. I too was a WWE fan in my younger years. And in one particular guy, he said he liked Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was
What?
yeah, he was one of my guys back in the day. So for all our WWE fans, give me your best Stone Cold moment. Was it the filling Vince McMahon's Corvette with the cement, or was it the beer shower when he rolled up in the Coors Light truck?
No, it was when he almost killed Booker T in the shopping mart, the grocery store.
Okay. I forgot about that one.
He almost drowned him with milk.
Yeah, yeah. I did forget that one. That was a good one. Stone Cold. That was some crazy stuff back in the day, man. They don't do
on
that stuff
YouTube.
anymore.
Yeah, I will go on hours watching it. So I guess I don't know what that says about me. I got issues.
Yeah, I'm a Ric Flair guy. I always watch the Ric Flair YouTube videos, man. But yeah, Stone Cold was something else. He was a good guy.
Tyler Bilovic. Anything else from you, man? You were great.
Oh man, thanks for having me. And I'll be honest, I just downloaded my first podcast ever in life like a month ago, so I'm a little behind, but this is cool.
I hope it was B&B's football happy hour.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe you'll listen to this one since you were on this one. So
yeah, get us on Podbean, man. It's free.
Podbean, all right.
Podbean, yeah.
Gotcha.
You can hear yourself talk about those Cowboys.
That's right. Hey, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
thanks. All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, a good one.
Yep, take it easy. All right, man. That was good stuff from him. Pretty.
Oh yeah.
Kept it pretty even keel there. He's a realist, so it's good stuff.
B&B's football happy hour. The only place you can get your football fix, your Stone Cold Steve Austin fix. It's great.
Talk about it all. Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah, like you said, it's a tough team to go over. I mean, I know Dallas is good. It's just being an Eagles fan.
They are. I mean, eventually it's going to happen. Eventually, they're going to put it together. They're going to be 14-2, 13-3. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it has to happen eventually. It should have happened already a few times.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully not this year.
Nah. We'll go another 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, another good show.
Before we head out of here, again, we're at Local Oak tonight, and like I said, I know it's probably a little loud at times. We try to control that, but this place was packed, doing good business. Again, they have sodas and water, things like that for kids and the family. Bring your wagon, like I do, coolers, food, camp out. Bring your blankets, play around. Lots of kids here running around. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Dunson with the music. He's on SoundCloud. He's got his own website, Beats and Bourbon, where he creates his own beats and everything. It's pretty impressive. Check him out again. Like I said earlier, Grammy nominated. Pretty cool. We have him and Maverick Made, our shirt guy. Did a great job with those. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get some people asking about them. We'll get a few sent out from next week, and maybe our guests can start wearing them as well as we will every week.
We got a lot of shout outs, man. That must mean we're doing something.
Yeah, I feel like every week we're getting a little more official every week.
Oh,
we got some shirts now. Got a guy that lets us use his music. Kind of getting some contacts with some local people in our area that are.
They're contacting me. They're shooting me texts and giving me phone calls, asking us to come there and do the show in their place and at their venue and promote them and promote us. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially in this time. I mean, it's all good to. We're supporting the local business. I mean, last week you were at Naughty Dog. This week you're at
Local Oak.
Local Oak. So, especially in this time with the whole coronavirus, and good to get out there and support and promote local business.
That's right.
So, that's kind of
right.
our thing.
Especially we're all opened up down here. We're rocking and rolling. So
yeah. So
if you're
that's
in
all
North
good.
Carolina, or if you're not in North Carolina, come on down.
Yeah. Still check out the websites. You can order. They have some cool shirts and hats and stickers and everything else. So check that stuff out and make sure you download our episodes on Podbean.
All right, man. Hey, great show. You're the man. See you in a week.
Yep. Talk to you next week.
See ya.